carpets plus color tile. Barrington Firearms and Training Center, DW2 Drywall, and Michigan Landscape and Excavate.
There's a man named Pat Curry, he's got a passion for the news. Brings the stories of Big Rapids and Mecosta County to you. Tune in and turn it up, let's have some fun.
There we are.
We got a lot going on this morning, Bob.
Yeah, hello there.
Got a lot of papers in front of me here I normally don't get to read now.
Yeah.
As Bill Shively says, what are you reading? I didn't know you knew how to do that. We had a good conversation this morning. It was on math.
Really? Okay.
How many dollars is 25 cents saved a day for a year? Do you have any idea? I threw that at Dan Spadowski, Kim Wells, and myself, obviously, and Bill Shively and Doug Ross. We were there first thing this morning, and I touched on math, and I said, how much would you have at the end of the year if you saved 25 cents a day?
Man, there's some deep thinkers in there, Pat.
Well, there is, and that's what Bill questioned. There wasn't that good of thinkers, but he doesn't give us enough credit. But anyway, I really lit their eyes open, or I lit their eyes up this morning when I said $10,000, and Bill, whoa, no way. So anyway, it's not a lot, but it made them think. I guess my whole point is get your thinking caps on this morning, folks, because we got a couple guests here that neither one of them have any political career behind them. They have it in front of them, but not behind them. Neither one of them are in office, like, kind of like Donald Trump. He wasn't in it until he got into it, but he's made a big difference. Some think it's good, some think it's bad. We won't go there. I'm beyond the fence on that one. I'm not going to tell you I voted for him, folks, because I did. But anyway, these guys here, I voted for the one, and the other one I didn't vote for, only because I couldn't. Moving along, okay. Bruce, good morning. Bruce Borkovich, supervisor at Big Rapids Township. He won overwhelmingly in the election here this last fall. Glad to have you on this morning. And then we have a guy that's 50-50 in popularity in most of the county anyway, Jason Cruz. He's made a big difference. He's a young man, a lot younger than a lot of people think, but he's got the wisdom of, more than a 71-year-old. Doing a great job up there, some people think, and a minority say the other way. But you know what? Welcome to the real world, because in America we have that. We have some that love you, some that don't love you.
Yeah.
We just wish the ones that don't love you stay off media, right?
Well, I welcome everything.
There you go. I know you do. You handle it well. You must have a little bit of good blood in you that you can handle that. You got a big, strong back.
His dad was a Vietnam vet, and he's got his dad's toughness.
Yeah.
His dad was in some tough stuff over there, and he's got his dad's toughness for sure.
Well, if you all know Bruce Borkovich from being around town since, 2011?
13. Got here in 13. Matter of fact, the first place I stopped here was at Curries gas station on my way to do my first interview for the police chief's job at Ferris.
Changed the history of you, didn't it? Now you're looking back saying, I don't know why I stopped.
Because I stopped there because somehow I knew I'd find one of my best friends in there.
There you go.
So.
Well, we have been good friends since then, Bruce. Well, welcome both you guys. And before we get started here, I just want to kind of remember a few people in my life that made a difference. I don't take it for granted, but I look back and I say, why didn't I? And we all have that. I mean, we all have a story of life and the journey that we take and the people that are in it. And I just want to talk about Sharon Cox for a minute. She had Sharon's Restaurant. Y'all know where that's at, down in the restaurant down there in Stanwood. She made a big difference. When I thought of her passing, the first couple people that came to mind were Morris Bowman and Les Ellison. And you say, well, what it has to do with her? Well, back in my record days when I drove truck for my dad, those two guys would be in there on a Friday night having dinner or coffee or whatever, but it'd be more than them two. It'd be a lot of other people, of course, from the Stanwood area. But they all met there. It was like one big happy family at Sharon's. And I would sit and talk to them for a little bit and to this day, I've been trying to get old Les Ellison on here. There was a Les Robbins. But anyway, Les Ellison on the radio because he's got a lot of history to stand with. He's over 90 years old. He's the father of a couple good guys down there, Bobby and that bunch. But anyway, we're going to try to get him on someday. But she passes. She leaves her legacy of a homemaker, a mother, a grandmother, great-grandmother. I know her daughter real well. She comes in the station. She's always got a great smile, just like her mother. And, you know, again, I didn't take for granted, but I just wish, you know, sometimes you just take that moment. But it goes by so fast, you know. I mean, good Lord. Last time I saw her, I said hello, and then I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. The other one is Wesley Randall. He is a local boy. He's in his 30s. He died the other day. It's Craig's son. The Randalls, their mother, his grandmother was a city commissioner so she made a big difference in Big Rapids for a long time there. And so many people in this town forget names like the Randall because, you know, I mean, they're not in the spotlight anymore and they're not a small business person or whatever, but the Randalls are a very nice family and prayers and thoughts go to them. Wesley's way too young to die. You know, it's just like yesterday they had a funeral down in Grand Rapids for this Moore. He was a Marine and went overseas, and he had PSTD, I think it's called, and he died. And they had a memorial for him yesterday, and he was only like in his 40s.
Wow.
I mean, good Lord, you know, and we throw the flag down or we protest about America being a naughty United States of America's bad, these corruption and all this and that, and these servicemen are fighting for that, for our right to be able to do that. Wow. But anyway, Georgia Linehan up there in Paris area. Linehan's a big name. She just passed at the age, I think, 82. She leaves a great legacy of being a homemaker, a baker. I mean, she's just a great lady. Linehans are great people up there. I mean, Sonny's and John and all the Linehans and their relatives back, and a lot of history up there, but she leaves too, yeah. And then I don't want to forget Sherry Arnson, Dave Arnson's wife, just recently passed at an older age, but she was young at heart, great lady. I knew Dave real well. He was a cop at the Mecosta County Sheriff's Department for a lot of years, and when we go on accidents or a car in the ditch, if he was policing it, he'd go right down the snow and help you hook it up. You know, he's just a great guy, and she was just a great lady. So we've had a lot of people pass, you know, I mean, this last week or so. And like last week we talked about the Allers, and last Tuesday, and Joanne, she died there, Gordy's wife, and those two were high school sweethearts, and we talked about that last Tuesday, but I just want to touch on her funeral. It was one of the biggest funerals we've had here in a long, long time, and it just goes to show you how tight-knit Big Rapids is as a community. Allers is a big name in this community, and if you don't know the name, then you're not from Big Rapids or Mecosta County. I can remember the Old Timers game. My dad was involved with it for a lot of years. He was a showcase, but the Old Timers played the high school team on July 3rd of every year. But anyway, half the team was Allers boys. I think there was 8 boys. They all played for the team, but Joanne had a big tribute to her last week. So anyway, we're just losing a lot of good people. It's that time of year, and God's taking a lot of them to the throne. I'm sure I'm missing somebody, and I apologize. Maybe next week I'll hit on them. But on a brighter note, I got something in my throat. Let me drink a little of this whiskey. His Crown's good.
That's what it smelled like. I thought that doesn't smell like coffee.
Yeah. Well, the scientists have come out and said that they have a link to something. I don't know what it was. But
supposedly an alcohol cancer link now.
Oh, I didn't read the whole story. I just thought it was a good link.
Really?
Oh, it's not good then, huh?
Well,
hell, I started drinking it in the morning ever since I heard
the next best thing, you know, with these studies, and you wonder that sometimes so many get watered down. What do you believe? What don't you believe?
Yeah. Well, that's what we got you guys on here for. We want to know the truth.
That's it.
There you go.
You're
You
going to get it, Pat.
You guys really aren't good politicians yet. All you know is the truth.
You're right.
Yep.
We're both terrible politicians.
Right. Yep. That's why we voted you in.
We are. Yep.
But yeah. All right. So Bruce, what's happening at Big Rapids Township besides a couple violators out there? Did Tribally get his deer out there? Do you know?
Well, there's a deep investigation going on. They're going to bring in some of the best undercover agents in the United States to try to get into Shibely's clan there, try and infiltrate that clan. and find out. But no, I'm joking. I'm joking, people.
Yeah,
Bill's
yeah.
my neighbor and good friend. He's a great guy, he and his wife. But it's been a real slow deer season. But from the township side, we're moving along with things. Anytime anyone new comes in, you see things that maybe others haven't. My good fortune is that we have such an amazing board. The two gals, I don't know if gals is politically correct anymore. I don't really care, Pat. You know that.
Right.
But in our office, Dina Merrick and Hannah Says are just so amazing at what they do. They're smart. They're thorough. They're on things. And what a blessing it is. Jason had to come in and rebuild everything. I come into this very nice operation.
Right.
And who was running it for a year before me? Carmen Bean. And
Right.
Carmen did so many wonderful things. I rely on him so much that Carmen's agreed to be my deputy supervisor, which seems kind of odd because he's been at these higher levels. But that's Carmen. He's going to do what's best for his community and his people. But we're moving along with things. We have a really busy meeting tonight. Tonight is our monthly meeting, and then one of the things we're going to look at. Jason is way ahead of us, like normal, but they just went through and developed or are developing wind, solar, and battery storage zoning policy. Now, I want to make sure that people are not under an incorrect assumption here. In 2023, the governor signed a bill, Public Act 233, which basically allowed for the MPSC, the Michigan Public Service Commission, to do site zoning. And that's a camouflage way to say that, for the most part, they can determine, they've overridden local zoning control. Now, we can still develop zoning ordinances with some restrictions, and the people who want these projects can come in, and they do have the option to work with us and maybe follow our ordinance. But if they decide they don't, and they decide it's too restrictive, it's going to cost too much money, they just say, never mind, we're taking this to the state, to the MPSC, and the MPSC has the authority to grant those zoning requests. So these projects can happen. And so I really want people to understand that we at the township level, we're going to do our best to have an ordinance that people will work with, but they need to understand that these could come into our communities, and there's nothing the township can do about it.
And they're stripping our rights away. And what gets me is, if we don't like it, let's vote these people out.
Well, it's unbelievable. Right. Now, I do know at least 90 townships have, I don't know if it's a lawsuit or what the action is.
It went into the
but
Court of Appeals.
They're opposing it. Yeah. And the bad thing is, it is a law. So we've got our good friend and patriot, Tom Kuntz, who's
right.
They're going to take control of the legislature here. But Tom confirmed that they can't repeal that. It's a state law. There's no constitutional guarantee of zoning rights in Michigan, the Michigan Constitution. So if there was, then Whitmer and her clan couldn't have done this. But it's established by state law, which means a new law can supersede it. So the only way we could get rid of it is with a referendum, which was tried this year. They didn't get quite enough signatures. The referendum could have put it on the ballot, and if the voters said, we don't like this law, we want zoning control to stay locally, then that law would have been repealed. So we are going to, Jason and I, collaborate a lot together. I have a copy of all their ordinances. In our next meeting, we're going to take a look at that, and I hope for board approval so that we can move forward to get our own ordinances in place. But I just want everyone to understand that these projects could come in beyond our control. Jason, did I say anything wrong?
My God, you did a great job of explaining it for sure. I don't want to really add on to that other than, when you pass these ordinances, or when the board actually considers them to adopt them, you have to understand that they have to either be a workable ordinance or a non-workable ordinance. That's what it's going to be viewed at. Whether or not what a workable ordinance would be something off of that looks like, well, okay, maybe the state requires there's a 50-foot setback And then the county or the township comes in and says, well, we want a 75-foot setback instead of a 50 setback from a home or some sort of structure. So that would be more considered in the lines of a workable ordinance or an example of something like that. But if a township came in and said, listen, we are not going to do any wind, solar, or battery storage in our township, well, then that's not workable. Then it just gets appealed right up over to the state, and then they take action on it. So what we've been working on in Green is a workable ordinance to where we can have a chance to work with the contractors that want to come into the township, if any, and have a workable relationship with them instead of just having it go right to the state, or a proposed job go right to the state, and then we don't have any kind of a say or any kind of a idea what's really happening till it happens. So it's just it's a mess, Pat.
Yeah. Well, you're in automotive. We talked about this a couple shows ago about how important solar is and battery to our way of life and renewable energy. Do you see a big need for it? Do you, Jason? I mean, do you see a positive? Let's talk about a positive of it.
Sure. Yeah. Well, a positive would be the search for a different type of an energy, so we're not dependent on any kind of just what's the black stuff that's in the ground. Okay. So I mean, that would be the positive.
The negative on it too is if you look east of us here. I know a lot of people over there, and Mount Pleasant area. They're full of windmills and solar panels, and they got neighbors don't even speak to each other anymore that grew up with each other.
I was there for 26 years, Pat. I get bits and pieces of it, and it's getting ugly over there.
It is sad, isn't it? I mean, they go to church together and don't even speak to each other now. And
so many communities like that in the area. I hear the same thing.
Yeah.
You know?
I wonder. So there's something going on there besides just this solar thing. If it isn't just trying to split people up.
Well, yeah.
Just like what happened in this town.
A house divided cannot stand.
Yeah.
It's biblical. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, we still, I hope it gets better. I pray that it gets better. But, there's still a lot of hatred here. And will it ever get better? I don't know. I don't want to be, a Pollyanna and say, short while we'll all be hugging and sitting together, because I don't know that that's the case.
Yeah.
I hope that happens,
not
Pat.
good. One thing I wanted to ask you about, and I know they're going to say, well, we don't want to have it there because if a car runs into it, we have a problem there, whatever. But I know the median is a good spot for a lot of cars and accidents and stuff, but there is areas wide enough in our median and our highways. I've been saying it for a long time. Why don't they put something out there? Put your windmills out there, or put your solar panels out, and you go up 75, there's a big division between the two highways that, hell, it's an eighth of a mile.
Right.
And I wonder why they don't do that.
I don't know.
Why would they take good agricultural land and destroy it like that?
It's hard. It's hard to keep the aging farmers off of those incentives. And really, what it is, it's just an incentivized project. And so, I mean, there's people on towards Ludington that I know, farmers that are out there that are getting out of doing dairy, and they're just signing up with these huge leases. One guy in particular that I know is going to make $2 million a year if it goes through.
Yeah.
My uncle took our property or our family farm and leased it out if it goes through from Consumers Power, which it's heartbreaking. And I think that there's other ways of producing revenue for that type of a property. Like you're saying, you're losing your farmland. I mean, there's a lot more than just putting a windmill in. You have to put big footings in the ground. You have to put cables in the ground. And those footings are so deep, a lot of times you can't get them out of the ground after you take the windmill
I heard
down.
those footings are almost hard to wrap your head around how much concrete is in them.
Right. Just think of a regular radio tower, I mean, you pour. So, yeah.
So what's the answer?
I think you let market drive. Now, I'm a free market guy, and I think that you let the consumers drive the market, and you save incentives or incentivized programs for a short incentive for somebody to expand, either a company or whatever. That's out there already, and I just don't think the expansion of a lot of these incentivized programs are the way to go. To drive a market, it just isn't the way. That's just my belief. and you get a lot of waste, right? I mean, we have these projects that are out there that just can't seem to get off the ground, and our tax dollars are, wrapped up in these things, and who knows if we're going to get it all back or not, So
I think the other, piece of this is, the whole we the people thing. Anyone, Republican, Democrat, Independent, should find it repugnant that our state government just took away our local right and ability to do our zoning.
100%, Bruce.
It's not a partisan issue. That's a freedom issue. That's a patriotic issue. It's a constitutional issue. And I'm going to take a tiny fraction, a little bit of credit for our group here and the influence we've had not only statewide and nationwide. Just recently, you probably saw that up in the Gaylord area, the DNR and the government, Michigan government, had a plan to take 400 acres of state land and make I hate using the word a solar farm. It's not a farm, but put solar panels there. It's 400 acres of property owned by the people, paid for by the people. The government just holds it in trust for us.
Right.
Yep.
And the immediate outlash, Michelle Hoytinga, Tom Kuntz, legislators, the outcry over that was incredible, to the point where Michelle last night reported what she's heard is that project's off the table now. And
That's
so
great.
we're seeing an awakening where people are getting involved and realizing if you have a good foundation of your position, if it's morally sound, if it's patriotically sound, and you get people excited and energized and involved, you can do amazing things. So in a matter of a week, the influence that we started with our group that has had on other people bombarded Lansing with emails and phone calls and stuff, and suddenly they're shutting this project down.
Yeah, well, what amazed me was a lot of it was timbered land, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then look at the animals that would
Unbelievable.
affect.
I can attest to how many different species of animals will live on 400 acres of state land.
Well, you used to work up that area, right?
I did. I've worked all over the state. And
It's real hilly, right?
Yeah, it's very hilly. It's beautiful. But there's also people hike on state land. They hunt on state land. If there's water, they fish on state land. They mushroom pick on state land. They camp on state land. That's the people's property. The state land is the people's property. And the thought that we could put in solar panels on state land, it's just boggles the imagination. But the power of the people, when you organize and you come from a sound foundation and you organize, it can be very influential.
Well, we know that. Bob, what do you think? It's almost top of the hour. You want to kind of...
WBZX Big Rapids.
Bob, what's your thoughts on that?
Back in New York, we had something called a Community Preservation Fund. And what it was that the townships got together and they bought the development rights to properties, farmlands specifically, because developers were coming in and they wanted to put McMansions up. And so what happened was that this Community Preservation Fund, which was an offshoot of the government, but it operated as its own entity under the aegis of the government, went and bought the development rights from farmers. Okay, so what happens is the farmers get enough for their retirement through this, and at the end of the day, you can never develop anything on that. So they had to come up with creative ways. So it was potato farming for generations. And potatoes dried up because all of that went to Idaho. So what do we do with it? A lot of them became wineries. And now there's a booming tourism industry because of the wineries that are on these lands. So how do you fund it? There's a surcharge on every real estate transfer. Now, I don't know if that would work here, because I don't know what the laws of Michigan in regard to this, but to fund it, there would be a surcharge on every real estate transfer. Okay, 1 to whatever percent to be able to fund this. So you'd have a few $1 million. So every year you do a piecemeal. You can't do it all at one time, but you could buy a large farm, the development rights. The farmer continues to own it. Okay, the farmer continues to pay taxes on it. The farmer continues to farm it as long as he wants. But when he sells it, it has to be farm. It can't be housing. It can't be solar panels. It can't be windmill farm. It can't be anything like that. It has to be till the ground farming. And because the entire rural aspect of the east end of Long Island, the Hamptons, and everybody thinks Hamptons, they think rich, and there's a lot of rich people there. But as far as it's concerned, it keeps the land rural, and it keeps that bit of ruralness in the community.
Okay, we're going to take a break, Bob.
Did I blow
Do the top of the hour? Do the top of the hour now?
Richmond, north of Richmond, Bob?
Well, the
We
thing
might have
is,
to play that song, you know.
Yeah, that's a good
well, that's
one.
the thing. You tell me if you think that that's too liberal. I don't know, because it was very bipartisan when it came out, because they were trying to protect their land.
Well, here's one for you. Now, we do kind of do that in Michigan with the ponds, habitat for ducks,
Wetlands are regulated in Michigan.
Yeah. So,
Anything
they can't touch those.
over an acre of certain terrain or 5 acres of standing water is regulated.
Yeah, and then like DNR will come in and dig a pond for a guy, but you got to leave it for the
Yeah,
habitat.
it's typically the federal government who does
federal
that, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And on our farm, the ponds, Pat, that we see there, were all created by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service for waterfowl habitat.
Why would the DNR do that, Bruce? I mean, put solar panels on natural resource land like that. What would be their advantage?
I'm going to, you know me, Pat, I don't hide much.
No.
This is a political move.
Yep.
And I think, that the DNR is an interesting structure. The DNR has a director, but the director's answers to the Natural Resources Commission. So there's a level of insulation there, but obviously a governor's office can still put they hold the purse strings,
Sure.
a tremendous influence. So I have no idea did this come from the governor's office? Was the DNR director told you will do this? I don't know. What I do know, Pat, is I used to talk with maybe mentor a little bit some new police chiefs, and I said the thing you should do on your very first day of work is type your resignation letter and have it ready, and time anyone asks you to do something you don't believe in, resign. And I don't think we have enough high officials in government who are willing to say, I will not do something if I don't feel it's right, and if you don't like it, I will resign. Most of them are saying they're worried about their career and their mortgage and their advancement and their reputation. And I'm getting a little out in the clouds, but I sure would like to see more people in power in the governments, being willing to do that.
But their job is to take care of the resources.
Absolutely.
Of the land, not to do something like this. This is what I thought. What the heck are they doing?
100%.
They would be on my you-know-what if I was going to change my land into something like that.
I'm sure, Pat, that it gets described as, well, this solar farm is good for the environment because it's going to create, it's going to keep us from using fossil fuels for energy. But a good friend of mine just sent me a text and reminded me that from December to March in Michigan, we only average 1.5 hours of sunlight. Some days, none. Mm-hmm. So obviously, solar panels are not the end-all, fix-all, because during a certain part of the year, we're getting almost nothing.
All right, I just want to take a break. The FedEx guy is here, and every week, Pete always says, I want to reach out to so-and-so in the FedEx. So I just want you to come in here and just say on the radio, good morning, Pete Kent. This is the FedEx guy. Right up at that mic.
Good morning.
Pete Kent. He's always saying.
Good morning, Pete Kent. This is Terry Cook, a FedEx driver.
All right. There you go. He dropped something off this morning. Where is Pete? Yeah, you bet. I told Pete to come in, and he has quite a crowd. He's entertaining down there at the
My sister lives
shop.
just south of Memphis Airport, so she says every FedEx when it comes in and leaves. He's in the glide path in the airport. Man, you should see an operation. You talk about a ballet of airplanes for hours every night. It's awe-inspiring, actually, to see it all work.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, just recently, you guys got some help with the newly elected commissioners at the county level. 4 of them have been replaced, right?
Yes.
And they have some incumbents, and I was pretty impressed with Chris Zimmerman running the meeting the other day. I hope they can go back to meetings in the evenings so it's a little more convenient for everyone, like you township people do in the evenings. But I think I'm not going to curse them out for having them in the mornings or afternoons, because back in the old days when everybody was pretty content at the gas stations and the factories and everything was going pretty smooth and everybody had that transparency, they believed that it was okay to have them in the afternoons because there was no need to go into a meeting. Everything was going pretty smooth. But with everything, the conflicts that we've had lately, now it's very important that we keep that up to people come in and voice their opinion, as it was the other day. I don't know if the county commission's ever had those kind of audiences, positive or negatives, either way. But now people are getting more involved, and I think that's why both you guys got involved, was the people who were behind you saying, hey, we believe what you believe in, and now you're there. That being said, is your job going to be any easier? Do you see it or not really?
I think it's going to lighten up. I think people, once you regain the trust of the township and the people in the area, I think it will eventually go back. We're seeing that in our meetings. I mean, we really aren't hiding anything. We're not. We're just not hiding anything. And it's like, for example, we had a public hearing on these ordinances that we were talking about earlier, the battery, the wind, and the solar. And we had one resident that was at the meeting, and she was a little bit upset. You could tell she was irritated. And we went through and we did our readings and our review of the ordinance. And we went to public comment, and she stood up and she said, listen, these aren't bad ordinances at all. I figured that you were going to get rid of all wind and all solar. And it's like, no, our job as a board of trustees is to protect the people that live in the township. And meaning that if we don't want to limit what you can do in the township, we just have to have a regulation on it for other entities that may want to explode a certain topic. Like the person that's living in a certain rural area, they don't want a dump right next door, right? So that's why we regulate. And so it's like, yeah, the wind and the solar and the battery storage doesn't limit local residents that already live in the township and pay taxes there to where they can't put a wind or solar on their property. It just limits big wind and solar. We want to have some sort of a say in that, so it doesn't interrupt the regular flow of the township for the people that pay taxes in the township. So I mean, and that's what infuriates me the most. Like Bruce was saying earlier, it's like you have this centralized government mentality down in Lansing, and now they're pushing down on the townships and trying to take away our rights. I mean, we went through something like this like in the early 80s where they were trying to get rid of townships, right? And then that was fought back against, and now it's almost like the same argument, just kind of in a pseudo kind of a way. Like if they start here, where are they going to go next?
That's right. That's right. They got a foothold here. I think what the county's doing is great. I've known Chris Zimmerman for many, many years, and what I admire about him most is he's very independent. No one is ever going to own him.
No, I was surprised.
He's very independent, and Jason, had the couple key words there: restoring trust, building trust back. Because I think everything that's going on in the last year or two is there's some people who lost some trust in local government because some secretive things that were going on. We just passed in the last month's meeting. We're making an employee policy, which includes elected and appointed officials, that prohibits them from ever signing a non-disclosure agreement. Because when I was out with the public during the campaign, I found out that's one thing almost unilaterally the public did not like. They hated it. They didn't even know it was happening or could happen, is when elected officials sign non-disclosure agreements.
Yeah, I've never spread a rumor in my life. It's the people I tell, then they go ahead and tell others, but it's not me. These people just keep to themselves when I tell them.
But
no, I know what you're saying. I just trying to make fun.
Three entities who are all intimately involved in the project: the county, Green Township, and Big Rapids Township, who have all represented the voice of the people, saying we don't want this project.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, when does the project, go away? When do the people have their say?
Yeah, we won't go into too deep on that subject, but what tickles me is if we're not wanted, we won't stay here. We'll go someplace else. That hasn't happened, obviously.
Nope, I was at that meeting, Pat. I heard it.
And I just, polling, I mean, the local boys are saying, let's take a poll now. I didn't
2
jump
years
on that
too
one.
late.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you already took a poll. My gosh, 4 guys, and one of the commissioners is a good friend of mine. He got beat out, Randy Vetter, and I'd like to reach out and say hello, Randy. I mean, we're still praying for you. He had triple bypass, ate too much bacon, but he's doing
He's
real
a tough
well.
guy. He can handle it.
Yeah, he's on the men's. His dad's 90-some years old, so he's got a lot more years. But he was a good commissioner. But it was that one thing that got him beat in the election, and he got beat by 9 votes.
Yeah, it was.
But
close.
it doesn't matter if it was 1 vote. I mean, these people are getting out and voting that have never voted before, and you guys see a lot of people with affirmative conversations with you guys. But you got your critics too, Jason. I mean, Bruce hasn't had too many things stones thrown at him, but you've had a lot of stones thrown at you. How you holding up?
But think about what he's dealt with.
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
let you
I
go
know.
in a second.
Oh, my.
He's
I
had
know.
a big thing to deal with that I haven't.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
But is it getting better?
Well, you can't be. Oh, it's good. Yeah, it's getting great. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
good.
it's getting a lot better. I mean, we've got our wheels underneath us, and
I don't see any gray hairs.
No.
So I mean, you're
You have to take it in stride, right? I mean,
Right,
it's like
yeah.
all that. And the opposition opinion is just as important to me as the opinion that agrees with you. Sometimes you can get a lot more out of an opposition opinion than you can just an agreement. Because there's somebody that agrees with you. That's great. I think you're all on the same page. It's wonderful. But hey, let's play devil's advocate here a little bit, and let's take a look at the issue. And this is how I'm seeing it, because everybody perceives the subject differently, and there's a little bit of a give and take. There always is on any kind of conversation. If anybody out there that's married knows that, right? I mean, it's a give and a take, and it's an active relationship, which is what I appreciate. You can't really walk away from some of these conversations or some of these comments that come in the meeting and say, oh boy, you have to think about it a little bit and walk away and say, we better just take a look at this a little bit more and just see, if there's something else that we could do.
I see your township's growing a little bit. I go north of town yesterday there, and my wife and I went to Cadillac, and boy, that corridor up at 19 Mile Road is growing. I see that growing in the future all the way to Paris, actually, someday, not in my lifetime. But I see JR Collision up there is adding on a tremendous
they are
building
Yep.
there. So, and then you have a garage on the other side there.
Yep.
So
New repair facility coming.
Yeah, so there's people coming.
We'd like to see that, like you were saying, get into Paris itself, and start to build up Paris again to where we feel it needs to be, and there's a revitalization project for the hatchery, and so Corey and I, which is the clerk, we went over to the kickoff, and that was just before Christmas, and that was exciting, and also it's kind of disappointing to see how it's kind of deteriorated in the amount of work that it needs, but it's not unobtainable. And I really feel that all of us actually feel it's something that you can really get behind. It'd be nice to see that operating well again, and add to Paris. So,
Are you going to scrap that bridge?
oh, what's that?
You're going to scrap the bridge? Is the board looking at that at all? I mean, just sitting there.
The board. Well,
2 seconds. What do
No,
you-
I mean, we're not going to do anything with the bridge.
Yeah.
Jason brought up a great point. Jason's done this so well, considering the heat and the controversy is when you're elected. I don't care if it's as low as a township official or the president. And most politicians, almost all, forget this and make this mistake. You represent every single person, from every thought and concept and philosophy, whether they're as far left as they can be or far right as can be or solid in the middle. You represent all of them. You don't just represent the people who think like you. Jason does a masterful job of listening to everyone, not losing his temper, actually listening, not just giving them a chance to talk, but actually living. And every elected official has to remember that. You represent everyone in your jurisdiction, not just the people who think like you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm seeing is I'm seeing a lot of same-sided thinking people who differ on an issue, and that's what I see, and it's in that deferment on that one issue bleeds off into other conversations, and when it comes down to it, when you get to the root cause of the root of the conversation, you both see the same way anyways. And it was a brutal last 2 years, and there's a lot of hurt people out there, and it doesn't heal right away, and maybe it might not ever heal. but you just got to find that, no pun intended, the bridge, like we were just talking, and get across it, and then keep moving forward. And and it's like I've told a lot of people in our township meetings, just to comment back. I said, the decisions that we make here they affect everybody in the township, not only the township but the area, and so I have to go on what people want, so that when we phase out, because the board will change over again, and the next people can come in and they can do their job even more effectively, and we have that growth. So
a lot of people need something to do, and that brings me to the topic. Why don't you have an ice cream social this spring or something? Bring everybody together at Green Township.
You coming?
I'd come to it, sure. Armed, of course, but you'd have to be carrying up there.
We're a lively bunch up there in Green.
We're safe down here, but up there, I don't know about you people. Use people up there.
Last year, Carmen and the board had a breakfast.
Yeah,
and that was awesome. And we're definitely going to do that again. It was
nice.
So cool.
Yeah.
I got to meet a lot of new people. And it wasn't about controversy or politics or anything else. It was about people in a small town getting together and breaking bread and talking and visiting and just getting to know each other. And we're definitely going to do that.
Well, Big Rapids Township's a lot bigger than Green Township, so you got a lot more people to take care of, Bruce. How's it going down there? Is it kind of quiet right now in the township?
It's quiet. We have a wonderful board. They're very smart people.
I know you said that. I don't want to hear that anymore.
Yeah,
I wish somebody would say that about me. But listen, I want to take a break and thank our sponsors.
Yeah.
You have something on recorded, Bob?
Yeah,
your voice,
I have the recorded one. So we'll
Bob,
do
you're
those.
looking good. You got a haircut for the holidays.
Yes, yeah.
And let's talk about that after we come back on this, thanking our sponsors, okay?
All right, we'll be right back. Curries
All
water
right.
on
You
me.
want some water,
Where do you
guys?
go for Michigan's #1 concealed pistol license course? The same place thousands of Michigan residents have over the past 15 years, the Barrington Firearms Training Center. The BFTC conducts state-certified CPL courses right here locally inside the Barrington Conservation Club at 3444 18 Mile Road in Barrington. For just $99, all you need to bring us is your Michigan ID to these all-inclusive one-day CPL courses, which include the use of firearms, ammo, eye and ear protection, coffee and donuts in the morning, and lunch at noon. That's right, just $99 gets you everything needed to take the police department instructed course that includes the training necessary to safely load, unload, handle, and store your firearm. Students will also be trained on when it is legal to defend themselves with a firearm under Michigan's Stand Your Ground law and Castle Doctrine. Call 231-250-7257 or go online at michigancpltraining.com to register for one of their upcoming $99 all-inclusive CPL courses. Get armed, get trained at the Barrington Firearms Training Center.
Dale, I've known for many, many years, and I tell you what, when somebody needs some help, he's there. Just like your typical Mecosta County resident, Dale Whaley is a good American. So if you're ever looking for a drywaller for free estimate, call Dale. I'm telling you're going to be happy with his work. I have recommended Dale to a lot of people, and you know what the greatest compliment I've ever gotten is thanks for sending Dale. He did a great job for me. Guy's just fantastic. Just not only is a drywaller, but DW2 drywalling, but it's just a great person. It doesn't hurt to have him come into Curries either. There's just so many good things about Dale. He's just a great American, and give him a call, DW2 Drywall at 231-679-0475. That's right, 231-679-0475. Dale Whaley is DW2 Drywall. Greatest guy on drywalling end of it.
Gilbert's Carpets Plus, color time. Stop and shop with us for a while.
This is Amy.
And this is Corinne from Gilbert's Carpets Plus Color Tile. Are you ready to upgrade your space? Stop by Gilbert's and check out our completely renovated showroom with new displays and samples. With a warehouse full of inventory and options for every style and budget, your dream home is within reach.
Gilbert's offers free estimates and flexible options, whether you want a professional installation or prefer to cash and carry. We've got you covered. From ceramic tile and vinyl plank to countertops, window treatments, and carpet, Gilbert's has it all.
Visit us at 14150 Northland Drive in Big Rapids or call 231-796-2700. With a fully stocked warehouse and a showroom designed just for you, Gilbert's is your go-to for quality and convenience.
Gilbert's Carpets Plus, color time. Stop and shop with us for a while.
more of Curry's Corner on B1039. So you're asking about the haircut. I'm leaving tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't been to Florida yet?
That's tomorrow. I'm leaving
you're
right
leaving
after
tomorrow.
the show.
How long
When you
going?
guys come on, I'm heading to the airport.
Oh.
Where are you going, Bob?
I'm down to the Tampa area.
Nice.
Yeah, so, yep. So, seeing
be
that
warm?
gentleman on the wall over there, Brian Holmes, and some
Yeah,
other
good
people
for
that I
you.
used to work with.
Yeah.
But it's only supposed to be like 60, so I'm not getting Florida weather. I'm getting better than Michigan, but Florida,
Right.
not Florida. So
Kind of
it's
nice
okay.
just get away, huh?
It is,
Is
yeah.
that why you got the haircut then?
That's it, yeah.
You look good, and you shave too.
Yeah, well, do that
You
occasionally.
knew you were going to be on Facebook
My
live.
days, yeah.
Saturday Night
It's
Live.
high speed, low drag, Bob.
This is
You're gonna
radio,
get no
you know?
resistance.
I know it, but you're being.
I could get the mullet. It would, that would be a day. I would never be able to grow a mullet. Not the way my hair grows.
Yeah.
I look like Grandpa from the Munsters when my hair grows out.
So, do we have any first-time callers, long-time listeners out there?
No.
No.
If you want
guys can call in and ask
231-592-1039. We always open a phone line. Anybody wants to
Say
call.
it one more time. I interrupted.
231 area code 592-1039.
So if you have any questions for your supervisors from Green Township, Jason Cruz here, and Bruce Borkovich from Big Rapids Township, newly elected Bruce, and Jason's been in there for a couple terms now, or a term and a half. Not even a term.
Well, it's not just about, we've done a lot of talking about me, but it's like Bruce is saying, we got a really good staff. We changed over some of our staff this last election, and I'll tell you what, those people that are in there, Corey, Jill, Dawn, and Penny, and all the people that are helping out in there, and they're just doing a great job, phenomenal, and then not to forget Brent Mason, who's really drilled down and put our new zoning commission.
He's such a great guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy to work with.
He's
He's a good guy.
great American and a smart guy.
Yeah.
Well, he's got a lot of good blood in him. I worked for his uncle there, Jerry, down in Grand Rapids when I was a kid there, and Jerry owned a lot of gravel plants and a lot of restaurants. Very well man, very well thought of, and his dad Bob had Paris Gravel up there. I don't know if you knew that or not. So
Yeah, we
he's
were
got
talking
a lot
about
of
that, yeah.
background and resources.
Well, another addition to our board that adds a lot of depth is Scott McFarland.
Yeah.
Scott's a great pickup, and so is Ross Meads. We welcome them to the board.
Yeah, you do. You got some good guys.
We've got some
McFarland's
really
a good name
good
up there.
Yeah. Yep.
Sean, I known Sean for years. Great guy, battling some health problems right now. But as we get older, we all do a little bit, don't we, Bob?
Yeah.
No?
What's important on those boards, Pat, is not to have a bunch of bobbleheads. It's really important to have people who will say, wait a minute, what about this?
Right.
Or I'm not sure about this. Or and that's important because you just don't want a bunch of people half asleep who are agreeing to whatever I bring up or whatever someone brings up.
Yeah.
We have that with some really smart people who will really drill down, and it's amazing. I'm no genius, we all know, but they'll think of something. I'm bringing something up, proposing it, and then they'll think of something in 10 seconds that I never even thought of. And that's important.
Talking about 10-second thought, Bruce, I got a 10-second thought here. We won't talk long on it, but just kind of update us on the fire department drama going on down there. I shouldn't say drama, but it is drama, kind of. I mean, some people wanted it, some people didn't want it, but what's your feedback on that, and how's that working out?
It's going very smoothly, I think. So basically, to back up and give everyone a little bit of history, we have an all-volunteer fire department, had it for years, and there's so many people that have contributed so much. But the landscape is changing, and it's getting harder and harder to recruit people into an all-volunteer position and to maintain staff. We were way understaffed. And then we took a look at... this was Carmen Bean's, a project, and Carmen started the project with the philosophy is, what is the best bang for the buck? So currently in Big Rapids Township, we collect 1.5 mils for public safety, fire and medical emergency, and so that's it's a pretty good chunk of money, and so he stepped back and said, our job as a board is to decide how do we give the best possible emergency services. If it is maintaining this existing department, so be it. And through public gatherings and meetings and input, the board decision was it makes more sense to have the Big Rapids Fire Department merge, or our department merge with them. Because here's what can happen. You get a call out my way, we might have a volunteer north of town. They get the call if they can make it, because these folks have families and jobs. This is a volunteer department. They drive through Big Rapids to head down to the fire barn. They might drive right past the Big Rapids Fire Department, go all the way down, fight traffic, get to the fire barn, get their equipment on, get their truck, and head out to my house. In the meantime, I'm out there doing the chicken. Whereas with you consider the Big Rapids Department of Public Safety, those folks, first of all, are staff there 24/7. There are people there all the time. They get the call, and within a couple minutes, they're in their stuff. They're in a vehicle heading your way. So it was the opinion of many in the public and of the board that the best possible way would be to have them take over the fire department. All of the folks that we had working as volunteers that were interested applied over to the city. I believe all that were interested were picked up by the city. There was some, apprehension there, and they have a fire chief at the city. I don't know if I think you know him, Pat.
Oh, I know
Steve
him.
Schroeder. He's a great guy. He's a good human. He's
We're blessed.
smart.
Yeah.
We're so blessed.
Yep.
And so there's going to be a lot. We have a initial contract that we can look at. We can amend it anytime. We can back out of it.
Is it working right now?
It's working right now.
So right now, the city's over it.
It's happening.
Being that said, Bruce, I just kind of want to jump off that a little bit, but still in the same line of it. Fire protection is very important, but probably even more important is police. Now, we have a sheriff's department. Brian Miller's doing a great job. I'm not puffing smoke.
Yep.
But that being said, you look at our population of Big Rapids Township, students living out there, that whole corridor down 14 Mile Road, I bet you there's, I would dare say 1,500 to 2,000
probably
people living within a square mile there. That being said, fire department is very important, but I've always been an advocate of police protection. And for some reason, we always throw a lot of money into our fire trucks, into our fire personnel, but the most important thing is safety. I just wanted to touch on maybe taking some of that money, maybe saying to the city, hey, I know there's cooperations between the three identities of police force agencies, but I've often said that we ought to have a full-time right down in our township area. What's your thoughts on that?
Some areas do that. I came from an area from Mount Pleasant for 26 years in law enforcement where they did have a sheriff's deputy assigned to that local township where all the population is just.
But why do you think there's so much money? I know we don't want fires. We want to be kept safely in our neighborhoods with fire protection, but we really do spend a lot of money on fire departments, and I'm not saying not to.
Right. Well, we do, but remember, the majority of the calls that our firefighters go on are medical calls.
Oh, yeah.
Vast majority.
Know that. Yeah.
So old folks like you and I, Pat, when we go down and we're doing a chicken there, that's who's coming.
Well,
and we want good, professional, highly trained people to come out there and maybe breathe a little life into us and give us time to do one more show. So I know what you're saying. And police protection, obviously, I come from law enforcement. It's very important. Yeah. I don't think right now we have the statistics to support having a police officer designated to Big Rapids Township. We have Ferris Police. They are deputized. They back up the people all over the county. I'm not quite sure if the city folks are deputized. And of course, we have a good sheriff's department. So, but I think that's something you always reevaluate. But you can have a situation where a township could decide to contract, whether it's 24/7 or whether it's during peak complaint hours, to contract a car to just be in a certain township or a certain area. Yeah. I just don't think right now we have the numbers to justify that.
Well, I wonder if we could just duplicate a fireman into a policeman.
Well, they do that in some areas.
Yeah, because if you look at Morton Township out there, Canadian Lakes, man, I don't know how many calls they get for police compared to fire.
Right.
That'd be interesting to know because they have a beautiful fire barn out there. Now they have a full-time fireman out there. Yeah. But that population warrants that. I'm not saying it doesn't, but why doesn't it warrant a police officer? I just wonder why between the two, and they all work together, why the fire department. We all have a fire department at Colfax. We have one in Hinton, I think. We have one in Acosta. We have one in Morton. Martini. Every township has a fire department, which I know we need. But we also need
what I hear from you, you're not saying we don't need fire.
No, I'm not.
You're a big supporter of law enforcement and wondering, we have these designated areas, and I think it's something we all have to keep looking at. But, right now, I don't think we would have the numbers for me to support the idea of paying for a designated person. But things happen, Pat, in Isabella County, a county with a big tech space.
Right.
I practiced law enforcement there for 26 years. And they just lost their sheriff's department because the millage didn't pass. Unbelievable. The support over there for police has been historically amazing. And suddenly, I worked with shoulder to shoulder with all of these people. I know the sheriff and the undersheriff well, and it's shocking.
How's that going over there?
It's going terribly. Now, it's going to take a while to dig out statistics and see how does the criminal element adapt to that. You've got the state police there. They do a great job, but they cover 3 counties.
Right.
And so I don't know some of the details. Will the sheriff's department still deputize the campus police, the CMU campus police, to cover something? I don't know any of that intimately, but what I know, it's a disaster. They have lost people with 25, 30 years of police experience. Some of them are detectives and supervisors, and I know here in our county, our county commission's mission statement is to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens. I asked if their county commission has a mission statement, and no one seems to know. But that, everything's important. Parks are important. Lots of things are important. But sometimes, as a leader, you have to prioritize and say, what's more important? Maintaining this county park system, or having sheriffs, professionally, highly trained, dedicated sheriff's deputies on the road? And I think most people would say, there are priorities. Yeah. What happened there politically, how this happened, it's just, I can't even wrap my head around it, Pat. So, you always have to be prepared for that. But it's crazy. I hope that.
What do you say to the people who say, forget that, I'll self-protect? You may have a rise of that, stand your ground kind of thing.
You certainly can. And, I'm a big proponent of people protecting themselves anyhow, because, if a crime happens at your house, Bob, a deputy might be 20 miles away on another case. Right. So you do have to be able to, protect yourself. I'm a big supporter of the Second Amendment, and which, by the way, people, it doesn't tell people what they can do. It tells the government what they can't do, which is what our Constitution does. But I understand your point, Pat.
Well, like Barrington has police over there, and I think that their crime went down once they established a little department over there.
Yeah,
so it does work.
It does cost money.
Outside of Barrington, it's a little rough yet, but
yeah.
Hey, Bob, do you even own a gun?
I'm not going to say.
Oh.
Why should I put that out on the air?
Are you Democrat or Republican? I love Bob.
Some things I keep to myself.
Well, this one time, just say it. Not too many people are listening, Bob.
I'm not going to say.
Just one time.
You asked me who I vote for.
Oh, I love him. Really.
Maybe my plane will crash, Jen, and then you get to do this.
Better not. We're done. So anyway, I do wish you a very safe trip, Bob.
Thank you.
Anyway, Jason, what else? Anything new happening up there that's positive besides the help and all that? Just want to touch on anything? If you don't, no big deal. Don't say anything.
No, I think
it's all negative.
Yep. It's all negative.
I love it.
Oh no, I just think we're in a really good position to do really good things this year and to build on where green is.
Well, like say the commercial's growing up there.
Yeah.
How about commercial in your area?
I was going to bring that up, Pat. We have a person, and I've got to be careful because this person is interested, but we have a person interested in a piece of property in the industrial park for a little business, which is tremendous. We get labeled, kind of our group labeled anti-business, anti-development.
I know.
We've talked about this ad nauseum that, no, we're for good growth.
Right.
And this would be great growth. It would be taking a piece of property currently that is producing nothing. It would produce a tax base. We're going to be looking at how do we move forward and continue interest in those properties, because that's what they're there for. This is the industrial park off of 18 Mile. And then, I'd really like to see There's other property there. What are some big projects we could do, whether it's businesses coming in or other things we could do to develop that, to make this a better community, to bring money in to our areas. So we're not anti-growth by any means, and that's going to be one of my priorities, is to figure out how do we make interest out there. When we do have someone interested, how do we develop a real nice, smooth process that someone interested would say, wow, it was really nice dealing with a township. That's a good place to put a business.
So you got a nice fence around the airport now?
Big fence.
Keep the deer out, eh?
Yeah.
Got some big planes.
Keeps them
landing
off
there.
Northland Drive, too.
Now, has there been any talk, probably not, but just for food for thought here on putting some infrastructure over there on the west side of the highway there on Perry Street?
That was my question.
That's something I would love to explore. So what Pat...
But there's never been any talk about it so
Carmen
far.
talked about that last year.
Well, I keep bringing it up to everybody. I've been bringing it up for 20 years.
4 more years, he'd probably get a lot more done than me. Carmen's such a great guy, but I think that's a priority. Especially, one thing I'm going to do is try to find out, is there infrastructure money to help extend water and sewer past 131 on that Perry Street corridor?
Right.
Because that's good development. If you're developing along Perry Street, you're not destroying farms and wildlife habitat. And we have to protect and make sure that whatever businesses are coming in there are national security at top of their list, and is not going to negatively impact the environment. But what a great place for development for businesses. And I'm sure if we got those utilities on the west side there and we marketed that, I'm fairly confident we'd get some businesses coming in there.
Yeah, I know. Cracker Barrel looked at that piece there by Quality, and they shut it down right away because they didn't realize they didn't have sewer and water there.
Yeah.
So they said, no, we got to be where sewer and
Maybe
water.
that elusive Olive Garden that has been talked
We always
about.
hear about that, don't we, Bob? We always hear. But no, I think, Pat, obviously but here's what I'm not supportive. I'm not in support of that project where it's going to cost our resident a special assessment or taxes going up.
We can't do that.
So I guess
you already have that with that drain.
My job, the board's job are there grants? Is there infrastructure money? And even if it costs us some money as a township, sometimes you have to take that risk, because we may have to pay this much to get the utilities there. But if we get business development on there, we're going to get that back tenfold.
Yeah.
So that's something I'd really like to explore. I'm going to the Michigan Township Conference coming up in April, and I'm going to be talking to a lot of people. What's available as far as infrastructure grants and monies. So it's really important, I think.
All right. Yeah.
The other thing you'll get is the Curries Buckies. That'll put it up with 200 pumps, and it'll be great. And that alone, it'll be great.
Somebody asked me the other day, they stopped at one of those down south there, and they said they counted the pumps. There were 60 pumps.
It's incredible. Have you been to one, Pat?
No, I haven't.
Oh, my
My brother John talked about it, but I haven't been to one.
You could do all your Christmas shopping there.
That's what I heard, yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
You been to one, Jason?
No.
Oh, my goodness.
We're just Hicks. Bruce, you got to remember, we're Hicks.
Well,
we don't want to see that kind of growth. But anybody said, how much do you think that cost? And I said, a lot.
Yeah.
Cost a lot. We just put new pumps at the gas
75,000 square foot store.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But you have to put it on a really well-traveled.
Yeah. They're not going to go into Paris, I'll tell you that.
You know what I was looking at the other day, and this is kind of off subject, but some people already out there probably already know about this, but state aerial statistics mapping. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this at all.
Yeah.
But, on our farm, I would get done with chores or whatever, and there's always a picture, painting of our farm, And so I figured, you know what, one of them was damaged by some water because it's old. And so I reached out to them, and they changed over, and now they're vintage aerial statistics, and they're still out of Ohio. And they have all the photos yet. And so, so I was looking through, and it was really, and a lot of people don't like this because somebody flew over their house and took their picture, but these are all vintage pictures. So it's really cool because you could go into Mecosta County and Mason County. I could see all the places, and it was really neat. So I don't know if anybody wants to get out there and check it out. You can still order the pictures, and if you see your place out there, and and they'll help you too if you
And
call.
they can get that on Google?
Oh, you just go right on to their vintage area statistics website, and all the pictures are up there, and you can locate them. And I thought it was really neat, like the old, we have Zot Farm and stuff. Everything's out there, so it's really
that's
great.
cool.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've got one of our place, and it was taken back in the 80s. Then a guy did one in the 90s, and then one 2010 or something. Boy, it
It's changed.
They won't. Yeah, it's changed. They won't paint anymore. They won't paint them, but you can get the picture.
Yeah.
They'll blow it up and they'll put it on canvas for you. And,
We'll
pretty
talk
cool.
after. I'd like to check into that.
the
for our
Waldron
place.
Farm would be interesting.
It
to
would
get
be
a
really
picture of
interesting.
that
That's such a
back in
beautiful
the day.
piece, but to see how it's changed. And
Why don't we take our second break? And
Yeah,
we'll come
let's
back
do
and
that.
wrap up the show here on
Yep.
1039.
Thanks, Bob.
Pennzoil in Big Rapids is your quick-stop shop for oil changes and so much more. With certified techs and 35 years experience, they'll have you in and out in a flash, and a free car wash with every service. And don't forget about tires. As quickly as the seasons change in Michigan, it's easy to lose your grip. Luckily, Pennzoil in Big Rapids has the tires you need to dominate all seasons in Michigan. Big tires, fast tires, grippy tires, sleek tires. Go see Zach Wells at Big Rapids Pennzoil today. He'll get you back on the road and ready to roll. That's Big Rapids Pennzoil, located at 710 North State Street, or give them a call at 231-796-4730.
I'm Seth Wenger from Wenger Insurance. For more than 100 years, we've been providing professional service and competitive insurance to West Michigan. Come visit us on Perry Street in Big Rapids or give us a call at 796-0778. We're here for you now, and we'll be here when you need us most. 796-0778.
A trusted landscape design starts with the right team, and the right team to discuss what can be is Michigan Landscape and Excavate. This team is led by Michigan lifer Jeff Garrett. Jeff has assembled a team that knows that high customer satisfaction is why they stay in business. He requires his team to be the most professional service you've ever worked with for both residential and commercial accounts. Grading and land sculpting, trenching, excavating, septic systems, bulldozing, retaining walls, hydro seeding, seasonal cleanup, one-offs. They're a full-service landscape and excavation contractor. Michigan Landscape and Excavate create complete landscape solutions to be uniquely personal. As they say, now that's magazine-worthy. They're committed to excellence. Text or call 231-349-4667 or email michigan.landscape.excavate@gmail.com.
All right, we're back on it. Look at
Can
that.
I play a song, Bob? I can't play a song, can I?
No, not till we go
Because
on.
I like to look at my
yeah.
song selection here. And
But give me like a heads up so I have like
then
2
we have to
minutes
shut
to
her
find
up. But I Find God. We got all kinds of good songs out there, and Paulette DeVries brought me in cassette or disc on Josh Turner. Well, he's got some good songs out there, Of course, everybody knows I kind of like Western, but I like the Eagles.
Yeah,
I
I
like
know you
Hotel
do.
California. That's the best one, yeah.
Did you hear
play that
Randy
after?
Travis's new song?
Huh?
Randy Travis's new song?
No, what is it?
Now did you hear that, Bob?
Yeah, he did it with AI. Well,
Yeah.
I have
What would be the name
he's
of
my
it?
soulmate because we were born within 5 minutes of each other, 600 miles apart.
No kidding.
Yeah, he was in North Carolina, I was in New York, but within 5 minutes. Yep.
There's a lot of controversy right now on the old country and the new country that they're trying to wave over to the young folks, isn't there?
There's a
Johnny
new
Cash
female
days.
country star. You guys might be able to help me. She is amazing. I think she has the #1 hit in the country.
Oh yeah,
Not
Tammy
Carrie Underwood,
Wynette.
yeah.
What's her name?
Not Carrie Underwood.
No, younger than
she's
that.
brand new.
Lanny Wilson.
Yeah.
No.
Lenny
this
Wilson's
brand
one.
new. Hang on. I'll see
Is
if I
she
can-
one of those
Candace Owens?
American Idol
No,
stars?
she says the chorus is "Excuse me, you look like you love me."
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
sing it.
Oh my God!
Well, that's what
There's
Riley
I like-
karaoke here. Yeah.
Right.
I like
Green.
the up and coming Don Williams. Lord, I hope this day is good.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I'm feeling
that's
empty
right,
and
yeah.
misunderstood. God, I love that song. I play it almost every morning. My wife's ready to throw my phone out the window. Well, it was Toby Keith's one,
Yeah. Well, there's that whole, there was that whole.
Ella Langley.
Ella Langley.
Ella Langley,
And,
yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say, yeah.
You should play it. It is a hoot.
Well,
It's
let's play
I'll
it.
play it, but it's not our format.
It's
We're gonna
very
play it
pure
regular.
country. It's like you're listening to someone out of the 50s or 60s.
Oh, really?
Country music. Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's country.
Ella-
Ella Langley,
Ella.
and with Riley Green.
Yeah,
he's
Riley
he's
Green
a
is
new
great.
male country star.
Yep.
And You Look Like You Love Me.
All right, we'll do that when we get the stream shut down.
Right.
Yeah.
But I just want to congratulate a football team. A lot of people haven't heard of them in the last 50 years, but right now they're up and coming. I understand their record is 14-2. They just beat the Minnesota Vikings. The name of the team is Detroit Lions.
I've heard of them.
Yep. And they've hit the Campbell. What's his first name? Dan. Yeah.
Tremendous leader, Pat.
Yeah, he
Tremendous.
sure is. Yeah. And I just want to kind of recognize him on 103.9 to let him know that we do know of him up here in Big Rapids, Michigan. And we wish him well going into the weeks, 2 weeks from now.
Exciting.
He'll be
Yeah,
playing.
they get a bye week.
Mm,
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we give them a little bit of our Bulldog good luck.
I was just going to say,
yeah.
what about our Bulldogs? You probably talked about it, but I haven't.
Tomorrow, we have a sports show tomorrow.
Wonderful.
Be on there. We're going to have Andy Brockema and I believe the girls' coach. What's his name? Kurt?
Yeah, Kurt Westonbrook or something. I don't know.
Good coach.
Our the current athletic director there is awesome, but this, to a big point, this is the house that Perk built.
Oh yeah,
and what a job Perk did, and the current AD's doing a great job. He's a great guy, but Tony Anise and his crew, what a legacy they have built. Here at Ferris, 3 national championships in 4 years is just wow. It's just hard to wrap your head around. Yeah.
And the other year it was my alma mater, so I can't feel too bad.
Who'd that be?
Yeah, that Harding. I went to Harding.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You did. Yeah. Well, I feel bad for you.
Oh, but that's okay.
But anyway, yeah, Ferris has got some great, Tia just got off a great year with the volleyball.
What a year she had. Yeah.
Didn't quite turn out the way we all wanted it to, but hey, life goes on.
Andy's got a heck of a basketball team.
Yeah, he's rated, number 4 right now, I think?
Yeah, last
I'd like to see him number 1. If he can't get there, we'll fire him, get some in there, get to number 1. We got him on tomorrow. We'll talk to him. I see he got another haircut. But anyway, Coach Tony and the football, boy, what a great year they had. Yeah, we've had a great season of all seasons up there this year. That's for sure.
They're going to have the recognition when I'm away. I heard about that. That's what.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Yeah. I might have a few more for a prime.
Tony's building men. They come in as boys and they leave as men.
Yeah.
And that program teaches these young guys so much about teamwork and discipline and sacrifice. There's the old saying that the pain of discipline is much less than the pain of regret.
Well, we got about 10 minutes. I just want to say this. I think it's great that we're doing really well in sports, but I think it's getting out of hand, and we don't have to elaborate on it, but I think it's BS that these football players can jump ship.
It's crazy.
Oh, it's
like Oregon,
crazy,
Oregon number 1 playing Ohio State, and Ohio State beats them. Everybody thinks Ohio State's the best there is. Yeah. There was how many guys out of Oregon's lineup? Yeah. That poor coach and the fans, I felt so sorry for the Ducks. I mean, they went through an almost undefeated season, right?
It's no longer a college. It's another.
I don't want to play because I might get hurt.
It's like minor league sports. It's another
it's pro junior at this point. Yeah,
it is pay to play.
High school student comes out and gets $10 million to play football.
Yeah.
What are we doing to these young people? Making millionaires out of them, but I guarantee you, the government loves it because they get 50% of it, and then they got an agent. Before you know it, they didn't make $10 million.
No,
they made about 3, and then they gave half that away to mom and dad for a new house. Mm-hmm. It's just sad.
I think history will show this was a mistake.
Oh yeah, the other thing I feel bad about Dan Decatur. Not feel bad about Dan Decatur. He cuts my hair. But great guy here in Brown's Barbershop. Him and his wife and 2 kids went down to the Minnesota Vikings game. He had 4 tickets he bought back in August from a friend of his, has season tickets. He said it was unbelievable game and stuff. That being said, that's great, but you know how much it cost? A common guy couldn't take his 4 kids down. Not that Dan's overly rich. He got them at a reasonable price. But I know one guy went down there, paid $2,300 for 2 tickets.
Can't imagine.
That was my Super Bowl. I mean, go to Great Wolf Lodge up in Traverse City. You can spend that too, but at least you're getting a pool with it. But sports have gone a little haywire there. I mean, go to a college basketball game and go buy a bag of chips and popcorn for the kids and stuff. You're going to spend $100 for the night, right? Mm-hmm. Where are we going with this?
Yeah.
I mean, sports are taking over everything. I mean, our money's anyway. My God, next year's season tickets at the Lions is unbelievable. Yeah. They jumped to 30%.
You know what? Speaking of them, have you ever been to one of their games? And
oh yeah,
the roar, the noise.
Yeah.
Now, I went 8-10 years ago when they were nothing, and I couldn't get over the noise that the crowd can generate. I can't imagine right now with where they're at, the noise in that place that they can generate. It's just
But the diehard fan, the guy like you say, 10, 20 years ago that went there every year, can't afford to go next year.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, some of them will. Don't get me wrong, but they're going to be putting on a credit card and paying for it for the whole year. And how much can we take as a society on how much? I mean, go to a college football game or any of them. They're
other
all
than Ferris. Boy, it's still.
Well, I was going to say, I mean,
it's still
bring them to a Ferris
economical
game.
to go to
$3.
Ferris games, football, basketball, volleyball, and it is still really economical.
National level teams.
Yeah. Ferris is pretty reasonable. But go buy a hot dog. I mean, they're all up there, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to. I guess I'm getting old, and I just,
But it's also concerts and everything else. You want to go see, one of your country guys. It's going to be $150 a ticket.
Yeah.
You know?
Just, I'll tell you what, Bob, you raced the last 5 minutes of our conversation. Take everything back. It's cheap to go anywhere today.
Yeah.
And everyone who
about
just
gas.
Well, if you want some entertainment, go to Curries.
But with Trump in there,
go
Bob,
have a big rig.
with
at
Trump in
Curries.
there, Bob, you're the man. You voted for Trump. He's going to lower that gas down.
Well, we're going to say $1 a gallon, right?
Yeah.
$1 a dozen eggs. I'm waiting.
The taxes are more than $1, so it's not going to probably go to $1. But anyway, we're going to wrap it up here.
Yeah.
You guys we got a good song. I appreciate Jason from Green Township Supervisor Jason Cruz, great guy. He's going to do a lot of great things. And I think one more thing, Jason, before we leave you alone. Hours up there. I know you got hit on people calling and saying you're never open. What are we doing up there for hours right now?
Yeah, we've got hours posted for sure. I mean, we changed them up because of the holidays, so they're the clerk and the treasurer took some time off over the holidays. It's been a heavy grind for the last year.
Sure,
And so the people that are working in that office are catching up as well as I am on all of our home stuff and our business stuff that we're involved with. And now
it's not a full-time job.
Yeah,
but what are your hours? What are you guys doing? Where's it posted at?
So you can go right on greenchartertownship.org and you can see what our hours are, and they're posted. If they do change, they'll be right up on the marquee on the homepage, and we also post them up on the marquee outside. So right by the door.
Good.
So you shouldn't have a problem, especially in the treasurer's department. The hours are extended there also, so it's easier to get in and get to us, and so we've been working hard on making sure that we're available.
Is there a neutral phone number there that people can call in?
Yeah. You can just call the front desk, and then or you call the main number, and then you get dispersed. So there's and unfortunately we still have to take precautions with the front door. So the front door is locked, but we're right there. We can buzz you right in and get you right in. So,
well, most places have that security now, eh?
Yeah.
You probably have it too, don't you, Bruce?
You have to look at.
You guys got pretty good hours, Bruce, at Big Rapids Township?
8:30 to 4:30 Monday through Thursday, and then on Friday we're open until noon, 8:30 till noon.
And then you're pretty accessible. People want to talk to you.
Absolutely, 100%. I prefer to talk to people in person. But someone's there. Some great help in the office, and But 8:30 to noon on Fridays, 8:30 to 4:30 every other day.
Yeah, good. All right, well, you folks out on Streamline and Facebook, I guess. Facebook, can we play a song on Facebook?
No, we
can't play a song.
Nope.
Can't do that either.
No.
What's this world coming to, Bobby?
The copyright holders say no.
I liked it better. I guess we're going to have to go off that Streamline Facebook so we can play songs during our program.
Yeah, maybe.
Because every time I look at you, I think of a song.
Yeah. Well, we'll archive.
You know the one I'm thinking of right now?
What's that?
Don't let the old man in.
Yeah. We can shut down the stream and just archive the shows for later. We'll figure it out.
We'll do a show like that. Maybe we should have a Saturday morning show, Top 20 with Pat and Bob. Huh? I wonder if that'd go over good, huh? What would be your number one
Jen
song?
says I'm coming in too many hours. You want me to come in Memorial Day? You want me to come in July 4th?
What would be your number one song, Bob? Can you even say
my
it on the
number
radio?
one song?
Yeah.
Oh, so many. I don't know. I'd have to give it.
Just one.
Well, I'm a disco boy. Remember, I grew up.
Yeah.
So
Disco Bob.
Yeah, Disco Bob.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there you go.
I was known as Disco
The
Bob.
Bee Gees then, or
Yeah. I mean, something like that. But,
and it is unfair to ask that question to a lot of people. But as you get older, you go through the rock era in the '70s. I went through that, and we had some great pop like the Bee Gees and Sammy Davis Jr. No, he was a comedian, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But Dean Martin, those kind of guys, back in the day. Lawrence Welk was one of my
I love
favorites
that.
back in the early 60s.
Did you have to watch Lawrence Welk, or did you want to
every
watch?
Saturday night. No, we watched it on black.
That was Dad's
and that
rule.
was back in the black and white days. We still had black and white.
After
on
baths,
TV.
we came in and watched Lawrence Welk. That's, and my dad would cry when Norma Zimmer sang "How Great Thou Art."
Yeah,
that was kind of the rule.
But
Actually, he would never cry. He'd get a little tear in his eye.
My age was probably. Everybody says my dad's age was the best days to be alive, but they went through the Depression, they went through World War I, II, and all that. So I wouldn't really say that was the greatest.
I think
my generation
right now, we saw everything from going into space for the first time to now.
Our age was
pretty
good.
darn good time.
If the Vietnam War was terrible, but you eliminate the Vietnam War from our time of growing up, and it's fantastic. What a great time to grow up.
Yeah. But
We had
how about
Man
your
Landing
favorite
on the
song,
Moon.
Bruce? Do you have
I would
one?
say my favorite song is "Does Your Chewing Gum Lose Its Flavor on the Bedpost Overnight?"
Really?
That's a classic.
Right. How about you, Jason? You have one?
I got so many of them. I'm with Bob. I don't know.
Hey, my new one
It all
might be
depends
this
on the
Ellen
genre.
Langley song,
Yeah.
"You Look Like You Love Me." She is amazing. She's going to take the country world by storm. She's got several other hits out, and she's amazing.
Well, every week I have a different one, but Don Williams, that one with Lord, make this day good. That's probably really I love that one. I like Toby Keith, "Don't Let the Old Man In," but those are kind of depressing in my household, that I've been told anyway. But I just if I had to pick a number one, it would have to be a religious one, and I think "Jealous of the Angels Around the Throne" tonight, that was sung by the Irish girl. That's just a beautiful song. That's just a gorgeous one. Then Gobin, isn't his name Gobin?
Josh Groban.
Josh Groban?
Groban,
Yeah.
Groban. Groban.
Thank you. But anyway, that one, Hallelujah one that he sings.
Yeah.
That's
I got
a beautiful
Pat's
tune.
playlist here. One day we'll just play the whole thing.
But
beginning to end.
I mean, as the older you get, you're not looking forward to going to the other side, but the songs kind of get you ready for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gotta be a believer in Jesus Christ, because if you don't have Jesus Christ in your life, what do you have? Material things, like I tell people. Somebody said there was a rich gas station guy in town. I said, well, define rich. Rich to me is not money. Rich to me is friends, and I've got plenty of friends. I know there's a few
grandchildren.
people.
Pat, wealthy alone with those grandbabies of yours. That makes you a wealthy man.
Money has never meant a lot to me in my whole life. I worked hard for everything I've gotten, but I really thank God. And I was telling a good fellow the other day, I was in the station, he was kind of a stranger actually, and we were talking about life in general. And I says, really? I says, people say, well, you got a nice gas station, you got a nice horse farm, you got this. I don't have anything. I'm a shepherd for the Lord on the land of his. Amen. And the day he calls me home, hopefully he calls me home, it's somebody else's. So somebody else has to pick it up. Jason, just like you didn't realize what God had in place for you. Now, I'm not trying to be the preacher here this morning, but I'm a realist. I truly believe God puts us in places where he wants us to benefit the world.
That's right.
And even though you're just a little township, a green township, what you have done has affected thousands, right around thousands you have affected. Bruce, the same thing with you. You had no idea what God had plans for you 5 years ago. You had no idea. If somebody would have said to you 5 years ago, Bruce, you're going to be the supervisor of Big Rapid Township to lead the way.
You're 100% wrong.
First of all, you don't even know what a supervisor is at that time. You did through your police work
but I
and
had
stuff.
zero interest.
Right.
Interest.
And same thing with you, Jade. So divine intervention definitely is happening right now in America today. Because we are on a course in our lifetime to carry on the tradition of the Constitution of America for the next generation. That being said, Bob, any last words?
Nothing for me.
Well, God bless America.
Thank our
God bless
sponsors.
both.
Thanks for
Bruce
having
and
us
Jason.
on.
Thanks, Pat.
Love you both, and we'll have you on again. And
We
talk
love
about
the We the People
what's
show
going
here,
on.
Pat. It's
Yep,
a
there you
cool
go.
show.
Yep. Play that song, Bobby. Oh.
Hey, we got to
Not
thank our
that song,
sponsors. We got to
Bobby.
thank our sponsors first.
Curry's Corner.
Brought to you by Big Rapids, Pennzoil, and Auto